Excellent, excellent news, warriors. Massachusetts just became the seventh state in America to recognize that child marriage is against the law. I repeat, sound the alarms. Massachusetts Representative Kay Khan sponsored this bill, and Massachusetts, let me repeat, became the seventh state to ban child marriage. What does this mean? 18 no exceptions. The last state to do this in the last year was New York State, my home state, and now we have Massachusetts. We can agree that this bill is a bipartisan bill. This ban on child marriage should be in all of our United States. Why is it taking so long to ban child marriage? But let me go a little deeper and explain a couple of things with you. The Massachusetts ban will now include any minors married that want to proceed immediately with divorce in their favor, because studies and research has shown us that child marriage, I know some of you will say, well, culturally, we get married at 14, or our grandparents got married and stay married for 60 years. I'm not talking about that. If you are not allowed to do certain things until you are an adult, for instance, drink, enter into an agreement with a lawyer, sign contracts until you are of legal age, why should you be able to get married? Answers? Anybody? Let's go a little deeper. We know, for instance, that traffickers have utilized this. Each state has different age requirements, but we know that the traffickers have gotten savvy to this. So a 50-year-old man, as an example, can marry a 12-year-old girl. I actually work with a victim slash survivor, and this happened to her. And she was 14 when she was officially married. Her parents handed her over at the age of 12 to a trafficker, and he was 30 years her senior. So you see what I'm getting at is that the criminals, the predators, the traffickers, the pimps are utilizing this as a means of human trafficking. That's what I'm talking about. So congratulations to the state of Massachusetts for recognizing the hard, dedicated work of State Representative Kay Khan sponsoring this bill, and for getting it, up and out there before COVID, during COVID, and now it has become law. Only 7 states, but we'll take it, warriors, right? We'll take it. But can you imagine 43 left to go? And all of this work with all of the states has taken now, we're approaching our 15th year in getting 7 states to make child marriage illegal. 15 years we're approaching. So you can imagine that this is a long haul, but be aware. Be aware of all this. But congratulations. Let's leave it on a high note. Congratulations, Massachusetts. Let me bring a couple of other things to your attention. This week, we broke down on my radio program, WVOX, Lynn's Warriors. I actually had Lionel, legal analyst, former prosecutor Lionel, on to talk about parental rights, what's going on with the legal justice. It's kind of a redundant, actually, there, the justice system and children. So please, I recommend that all of you go to my SoundCloud channel, go to my Twitter or Facebook, where I'll be posting this interview, and just take a listen to this most important interview. I had somebody mention to me yesterday, not the first time, but I want to bring it up again. They said, "Oh, you're so drastic about all of this child stuff." And I, of course, corrected them and pointed out, well, if I don't do it, who will? Who'll raise attention? Who'll bring awareness? I can do it. I'm strong enough. I'm tough enough. I talk about it because it was just announced that 181 people were arrested in the United States educational system working in grades K through 12 for child sex crimes, everything from pornography to child rape. 181 from January 1st to June 30th, 2022, half the year. So basically that's one a day. And these are the predators we know about, and they're in our education system. That's why I'm drastic. That's why I don't think I'm even drastic. I think I'm just providing information that you may not hear anywhere else, certainly not on media. Because if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will see a new one went out today. For those of you who haven't, go to linswarriors.org, scroll down on the right side. It says e-newsletter, and please sign up. It is chock full of information that I don't have the time to tell you about on my radio program or tweet or Facebook. I could just sit 24 hours a day. There's so much information about child predation happening, whether it's online, digital safety, whether it's in real time, everything. I don't have time to sit at the computer all day, but you need to know a lot of key things. The school issue I brought up about 181 people being arrested is a reminder that it is the summertime and children are out of school. It is a reminder they have more time on their hands. It is a reminder they will spend more time online. We know that every platform you and your children use are predators. So you need to communicate with your children and discuss this. It is a must in 2022, right? Start with a couple of simple things. First thing, why won't the media discuss any of this? That's for another program. But the media, in my opinion, is very complicit in not rocking the boat with the government, who is not interested in any of this at the federal level. They really aren't. As a matter of fact, yesterday, released from the Department of State, was the 2022 Trafficking in Persons Report, referred to as the TIP report. I like to say trafficking in persons because when everybody's running around saying tip report, most people don't understand what's a tip report, trafficking in persons report. And this report is put out yearly, always around the same time, around now in July. July 30th every year is World Day Against Trafficking. We'll be talking more about that all next week. And I watched the presentation launch live from the State Department, and it includes 188 countries. And they are divided into tier 1 being the best, tier 2, medium, tier 3, failing. The United States, well, a couple of things with the Trafficking in Persons report. I was very happy to see there was a strong emphasis on collecting this information, creating policies, suggestions, putting the report together. And it's a very lengthy report, but it's at linswarriors.org under news and events. So please, warriors, go and look at this for yourself. Look at the different countries, look at what's going on in the United States, whether it's actual trafficking, resources, law enforcement, what is being done. Knowledge is power. So I was happy to hear that in 2022, the survivor input was first and foremost, because remember, warriors, without the voice of the survivor, the victim, I couldn't do any of this work. None of us could do any of this work. We need their input to craft and create resources, policy, and awareness, education, right? And so this year, there was a lot of survivor input all around. And that's great because last year, the Trafficking in Persons report for 2021, there was no survivor input or next to nothing. And that just can't be. Now, the other thing about the Trafficking in Persons report, anytime we can talk about trafficking, anytime we can talk about policy resources, that's a good thing, right? We have to keep brainwashing everybody. This is happening. This is escalating. This is something affecting all of us. So that's a good thing, right? But when I hear the United States falls into tier 1, being the best category, I have to say to myself, if we are the best tier 1 for dealing with human trafficking, I can't imagine what goes on in tier 3. And again, I did a very quick study of the report. I will be looking into it more today and tomorrow to really get my facts down. But if we are tier 1, I hear the same thing all the time from law enforcement, from organizations. There are not enough resources. Uh, I hear from law enforcement, yes, we could help that person or child. We have nowhere to put them, nowhere to bring them. Good people trying to run safe houses, NGOs tell me the same thing. We don't have the money to run the places. We don't have the support system, the structure, the infrastructure. So while the person in the White House is talking about, during my radio program, there are hard commercial breaks. It's a live radio program, and there are monitors all over the studio. So the sound is down, but I can see all the chyrons, that line that runs along the bottom and gives you information and names. And I could see that the person in that White House committed something like 2.3 billion. Don't hold me to that because it was like flashing and a lot of things were going on in the studio today. Climate change, climate control, climate awareness, climate something. And I thought to myself, if we only had that 2.3 billion to deal with, to intervene with all of this human trafficking, all forms of it, the sex trafficking, the sextortion, the labor trafficking, the forced servitude, that's happening here in the United States. Forced begging, because I'm seeing that here in New York City along the West Side Highway. I don't know if they're 12 years old or 22 years old because they wear baseball hats and masks and hoodies and they jump out into the streets selling water bottles when the lights change on the West Side Highway in the 50s and cut up fruit. And nobody wants to do anything about it. I've been trying, but where do we put them? Debt bondage. Passports taken. You owe us for your passage. So it's overwhelming. It's dark. It's a mess. All the more reason for you to become a warrior in your own home and community. You don't want your child and your family affected by all of this. I will tell you why the kids are out for the summer. Get them off those devices and pay special attention while they're out of school for the summer. If you are not homeschooling, if you are going to public, if you are going to private or parochial schools, you must start understanding, warriors, the agendas, because the agendas are flipping fast, even in those private and parochial and charter schools. Know exactly what your child is going to be taught. Ask them what they were taught this past year. Make sure gear up for fall. It'll be here before you know it. Not to rush the summer, warriors, but let's face it, let's arm ourselves with information. Start talking to your child how to report to you things that don't seem correct. Know what the assignments are. Really start questioning things and take action. You must get involved, whether that's becoming a parent, class parent, definitely attend Board of Ed meetings in the fall. Know who comprises your Board of Ed. Who are these people on the Board of Ed? Who are these people making decisions? And understand what's happening because it is flipping like a wildfire so fast in the last 2 years. All of these agendas, curricula, everything, know what's going on. But the good news is things are out in the open. And I also leave you with, there's a great airing right now on Fox Nation. Nancy Grace did a crime piece, and I like it very much. There was a story a couple of weeks back about a teen who was at an NBA game with her dad and went to the ladies' room and then disappeared with a trafficker. And we didn't really get the complete story. The good news is she was reunited with her family. Well, Nancy is doing on Fox Nation a segment, a program called Sex Trafficking in America. I urge all of you to watch it. She's right there. Remember, warriors, anytime anybody does anything in the media, I don't care if it's CNN, MSNBC, Fox, One America News, Newsmax, anybody talks about trafficking, I want to support them. I want to be there. I want to be a part of it. But getting back to Nancy, I was so happy to see she's covering the subject and wondering why, just like we are at the Warriors, there's not more coverage. Nancy Grace will actually be a guest on Lynn's Warriors radio program in a couple of weeks. I'll keep you posted about that to talk about the show and to some other crime issues with trafficking, with the border, things like that. And I want to leave you on a positive note that New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, my governor, will sign a bill on Friday, or at least that's what I hear, that's the intention, that will begin to have bartenders trained in identifying potential victims of human trafficking, indicators, what to look for and what to do. It's not enough to recognize, it's not enough to identify. You have to know then what to do in that moment. Things change so fast. Who do you call? Who's going to come fast enough? Things are like that. And so many people over the years have reported to me, I never called. I should have. I think I saw something. I know that girl in the airport didn't belong with that man. Better to be safe than sorry, warriors. And you will not be held responsible if you see and report something. As always, we have a national human trafficking hotline. I always recommend calling 911. 911 is a little busy these days around the country. I don't know how fast they're responding to all of this, but always, of course, uh, 911. And then always the National Human Trafficking Hotline, which is 1-888-373-7888. So we have that going on. We have so much happening. And of course, I'm working on initiatives for the fall. I won't bore you with that yet, but we've got a lot of things heating up and happening with that. And I also want to tell each and every one of you, you are warriors, and I thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to this, for your lovely comments, for wanting to do something about all of this. Because remember, we can each do something. We can't do this alone. We need all of you. And even if that's, of course, you donate so we can build our educational programs that are rolling out in September. We support survivors and victims of human trafficking financially, but also, if you can't do that, there are other ways. For instance, using your social media platforms for good. Let's leverage the internet for good. I talk about that a lot because it feels like I'm always bad, bad, bad. The flip side is there's a lot of great information. I watch a lot of my media is foreign media. I do not watch media here for the most part. I watch it in other countries. I get more in-depth stories and studies and resources than American news, right? I just turn that off. I don't watch it. Of course, I'll watch Nancy Grace because that is a story and a piece that is interesting, must be shared with the public, and is full of resources and take action. So that I'll watch something if it's of interest like that. But in doing all of this, you can just share a tweet. Go to Lynn's Warriors on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Any little piece of knowledge you share with your audience, that's a take action, right? But I want to know, and I ask this all the time, all this talk about vaccines, guns, crime, monkeypox, genders, everybody's reacting to what everybody's saying. We want action, not reaction, right? That's a warrior's move. Action, not reaction. Why aren't people screaming in the streets about all of this predation on our children? Why? Why? That's another program that we're going to have to dive into down the road a little bit. I'm going to put some cohesive thoughts about that. That's a deep one because the media just doesn't want to rock any kind of boat. And they're complicit, let's say, with the government in providing certain information and leaving out other information. Somebody came up to me today and he said to me, why is this all happening? Why? And the only answer I had for him, and a father of 2 children, is because it's about money. It's about making money. It's easy money on the backs of our children, on the backs of our vulnerable. There's so many different ways We need to change all of this, from the foster care system to group homes to the juvenile justice system to digital safety to real-time safety. And we're going to do it, warriors. We're going to finish off 2022. If I reach one of you each day, I have done my job. And on a final note, warriors, I was talking earlier this week about those lawn signs, and I've been doing it privately for the last year. People, and they're so proud of their children and they mean well, they'll put out the sign, little Susie graduated from kindergarten. A lot of the signs this year, at least here in New York, Westchester area, New Jersey area, actually put the pictures of the kids on the signs. So now a potential predator, a criminal, a stranger, knows what your child looks like, knows their name, can figure out their age, knows where they live. Remember, warriors, would you open your front door and welcome a bunch of strangers in? No, you wouldn't. Putting signs on your front lawn? You want to participate? I know a lot of schools do it as fundraisers. You buy them, buy the sign, put it in your house. I know you're proud of your kids and grandkids, but the predators, they're loving this. And I'm seeing more and more signs each year. And it used to be, I remember seeing them in the beginning for high school and like maybe 8th grade, but now I'm seeing middle school graduation, kindergarten graduation, nursery school graduation. Pretty soon, every child's going to have a sign for every grade. So just give that a little thought, because I want to keep you safe. I want to help you and your child remain safe. It is that dire. It is that much escalating. We're giving it to them. And lastly, I want to share with you TikTok, crime scene. If you're on it, just believe me, get off of it. A lot of things are happening on TikTok. A lot of information is being culled together. I mean, China, it's owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance. They're admitting it. Nobody seems to. That was a few weeks ago. What's going on with all this information? Where's it going? Where's it being stored? What's going to happen to it? Don't know. So on a final note, we have some great news. We have things like New York State going to be training bartenders, indicators of human trafficking and what to do. That's a big one. We also have a rash across the United States of arrests in the last week. You can go to Lynn's Warriors Twitter and Facebook and see a couple of those stories. Again, the best way to really be up to date is to sign up for the newsletter at lynswarriors.org. And finally, look at that Trafficking in Persons 2022 report. Start finding out what's going on. Let's break it down together. And let's all clap our hands and give a great big smile to State Representative Kay Kahn in Massachusetts for making her state number 7 to end child marriage. The hashtag is 18 no exceptions. And we are so honored that she has pushed this along and sponsored, and it passed unanimously 2 days ago. And we're so excited. And Representative Khan will also be on my radio program. I'm nailing down the date now in the next couple of weeks to talk about all of this. Remember, our precious children are the future. We must protect them. We must intervene. We must come together. And each and every day, remember to be a warrior.